Hi guys! So the intro and the outro of this video are clearly being recorded in another day because I totally forgot. This video is part 2 to my shitty therapist video. I spent a really long time without going to therapy because I was just really disheartened by the way that she acted. Before that, I had one session with another therapist on my hometown. And I was like, I told my mother if she could look for a therapist for me. And she had like this friend and she took me to him. But it was like, there were so many wrong things in that session that I couldn't absorb a single good thing that he said, because when I left, all I could think about was all the things that were wrong. That made such a strong mark on me. I already know everything I don't want in a therapist. The first thing was like, he was friends with my mom, which was a person that I had a lot of problems with and that I would need to discuss in therapy. And like, whenever I tried to talk about her on that session, he would like start defending her or saying that I wasn't understanding her or that I was too young or whatever. And I was like, yeah, this is not going to fly. And then there was the fact that like his standard session was an hour long, I think, but with me he extended like 40 minutes over that time. And all therapists know that you shouldn't break the time rules within the therapy session, because you need to maintain this environment and this safety that you can achieve if you keep breaking your own rules. You show that you're not trustworthy if you do that. Like you don't even follow your own rules, let alone respect my boundaries. So it's really bad if a therapist consistently breaks over the time of their consultation. And the first one, he went like over 40 minutes over it. And I was like, that's bad. That's unprofessional. That can't be good. And there was like so many other things. I was on medication at the time for anxiety and depression, and he was like, oh, you take medication? I can already see that your walking is jagged up because of that. And I was like, what the fuck? It's because I just woke up, dude. It's not because of the meds. Chill out. And then he would like, oh, you should drink orange juice with, I don't even remember what it was, lettuce, that it would like fix your anxiety. I was like, sure. And I already have a really big problem with doctors and therapists that are like explicitly against medication for no reason, just because of like prejudice that's not founded on anything. I already hated that some of them have that, because medication helps a lot of people, and you shouldn't, as a professional, be completely against it for like no reason other than being against it. That's not good. That's not good in my book, really. And then there was like, by the time when I went, and that's all in one session, I swear to God. And when I went to him, I was either thinking or in the process of switching majors. I did like 2.5 years, I think. And I wanted to switch to chemistry, and he was like, oh my god, all of this wasted time. And how are you going to work? Where are you going to find work? And I was like, dude, aren't you supposed to respect my own decisions? Why are you trying to like indoctrinate me with your views in therapy? Like, what the hell is this? And he like did that throughout the whole session. So I couldn't talk about medication. I couldn't talk about my mother. I couldn't talk about college. I was like, all right then. To be honest, I don't even remember some of the good things that he said, because I was just so troubled at the end of the session. Like, there was just so many things that was like, this isn't right. There's so, like, I tried to focus on the good, and there was like this thing on my head, this, oh my god, this isn't right. I already knew from the get-go what I shouldn't be looking for in a therapist. So from that you can take like a lot of tips. You really shouldn't go for someone who tries to change your mind about your beliefs and your morals. You shouldn't go to someone that has a bias against medication for no reason other than common sense knowledge that can be trusted. And you shouldn't go to a therapist that knows you or someone you're going to be talking about personally, or that are like close friends or acquaintances with those people. I don't advise it. And in some cases, even the therapist won't take you. So, the most recent one I had was also a woman, and she was a little younger than the last one. So she was kind of like my mother's age, actually. So I went there, and everything was really good for like the start. But I kind of started feeling like she would make me need to keep this energy going on the sessions that I really couldn't keep. I always felt, and this is probably a lot of transfer from my part, I always felt really bad coming week after week after week telling that my life was still shit. And I started feeling like whenever something went well, I needed to keep that energy going. I couldn't go back anymore. So a lot of times I felt like I had to maintain this high energy on the sessions that I didn't have, or that I didn't feel like having. She was like really jokingly about the whole thing, and it felt like, not that she was trying to brush it off, because she wasn't taking it as seriously as she should have. So I started to really not want to tell her stuff, because I knew she was going to act that way, like it wasn't that serious. I could easily fix it if I wanted to, which was a bit invalidating, and it started kind of bothering me. Like, if it was me who was being like dismissive and joking about it, it was one thing, but it was her doing that the whole time to what I told her. And it kind of felt like overall what I was saying wasn't that important. I so kind of felt like I couldn't argue with her on the things, because I'm like really argumentative on my therapist. When they start like telling me things, I start arguing back at them, because I know that my brain doesn't believe what they're saying, and they need to, like, if they are telling me this, they should be able to convince me of this, you know. So I start talking back at them to see, like, because I do that myself, like I start arguing back with my mind, and I know I didn't have the arguments to keep that belief intact, their good belief intact in my head. So I do that with them, so that they can provide me with their arguments to keep the thing that they taught me on my head. And she would never let me do that. And I kind of felt like she didn't let me speak, which made me really anxious, because I felt like, you're telling me this and I'm hearing it, but by the time I get home, I won't believe it anymore, because I know everything that I can say to argue with this. And if I don't argue with you, I know I can like come up with an argument against this thing. So I like talked to her about it. First I talked that to her, that I felt like she wasn't letting me speak. And then I felt a little better to talk, but then I felt like it wasn't going anywhere, precisely because of that difference in energy, and because I felt like she wasn't focusing on what we should be focusing, because she did take charge of what we would talk about, and sometimes she would focus on this thing that wasn't like my current problem, or she would approach something and then she wouldn't like follow up on it, and I didn't know how we were on that, it was like really confusing. Therapy is usually confusing to me because I don't know what's supposed to happen. Like, I don't know if like I'm supposed to guide the whole thing, or if I should just listen, or if I should bring up again the subject that I want to talk about. Or I don't know, like I really don't know it. They don't tell me anything, so I keep not knowing. I still don't know, to be honest. Which is one of the reasons that I'm really resistant to going to therapy nowadays, because I just don't believe it's going to work anymore. Whatever belief I had in that before those experiences, I don't have it anymore. So it's like a real struggle for me to try to look for another therapist. So that's a problem. So yeah, I talked to her about that. And then I said by the last sessions that I felt like it wasn't working. I said that, and she was like really offended or shocked or hurt. She was hurt, and she was like, oh, all right. Well, if you don't think it's working, you can like just go. And I was like, Jesus, you're just abandoning me. And then I just went. Honestly, I felt like abandoned because she just literally let me go. And like didn't argue or asked why or something. I was like, Jesus. To be honest, I think we're like really transferring and counter transferring a lot on that particular therapy. So I don't think it was working too much. So I didn't take much from that one though, except like I should probably look for a male therapist, because I keep projecting my mother on my therapist, and they either don't stop me or go along with it. So it's not working. So that's it, my experiences with my long-term therapist. I had another one, but it was like really shortly on my hometown, because we were like having the first sessions, and then she was like, oh, I need to move to this other building, talk to me so that I can schedule our session. And then I talked to her and she never replied again. So yeah, therapy hasn't been going well for me. So those are the tips and my experiences with therapy. Honestly, tell me on the comments what you think or what you've been through, and tell me some tips if you have them to like find a good therapist, or what has worked for you, or like how it works in general, because I really don't get it. So that's basically it. To be honest, it really disheartens me that there are so many unprepared professionals out there, because if I wasn't half as persistent as I am, which is actually just a part of my personality, if I wasn't like that, I would have given up on it a long time ago, and I would never seek a therapist again. So like, they're not helping people, and they're making people completely give up on therapy because they're such shitty professionals. And it's really disheartening, because I know a lot of people need it and could benefit from good therapy. Trust me, I have just as many bad experiences with psychiatrists. It's terrible. If I wasn't like, oh, I know what I need from these people, I really would have like been hopeless about my recovery, because these people haven't helped me in the slightest. And it's horrible the way people fail mental illness patients. Not even the professionals seem to know what they are doing. And honestly, we should do better as a society, and especially professionals, therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists. They should do better, and they should know better than this. Alright guys, so that was it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to give your like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna post some other videos about therapy, because I found another therapist after recording this video. So yeah, bye, till next week.